Sige lang.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Boleros. I'm Sam, here with Gab and Maui. Say hi, boys. Musta kayo?
Hello.
Yeah!
Okay.
Woo-hoo!
Loving the energy. I think I know why. Kasi I think there's a certain team earlier this afternoon na finally nanalo. Kaya masaya si Gab ngayon, no? So, we're gonna talk about that team, no? And I'm sure everyone knows from the title, we're going to talk about the Ateneo Blue Eagles, the defending champs, season 85. And sasabihin nyo, homer kami for putting Ateneo ahead of all the other 6 schools remaining in this episode. But sa totoo lang, we were actually pushing back the Ateneo discussion. But I think with Ateneo's recent performance, people have been messaging us. People have been
They
asking you,
suck.
Gab. Have been
Anong
asking you,
recent
Gab, anong
perform-
nangyayari dito? Di ba? And Gab very bluntly has put it, they suck. So, kita nyo naman sa topic. We're going to talk about the Ateneo Blue Eagles, the defending champs. And the very first question we're going to ask, Gab and Maui, is it time to press the panic button for the Ateneo Blue Eagles? We've seen them play. We've seen them go up against 5 UAAP teams.
0-5.
They haven't been very good. So that's a question. Is it time to press the panic button for the Ateneo Blue Eagles? And siguro let's add like a rating on a scale of 1 to 5. 5 being red alert. Blow everything up. Trade everyone. Kung pwede lang i-trade. Panic levels. Or number 1, I'm not panicking at all. In Coach Tab, we trust. In Mason Amos, we trust, Maui. What's your panic
Hindi
level?
na ata, Mason Amos yung trust si Mami eh.
Hindi naman.
We will find out. Let's start with you, Gab.
Alright. Okay, so I am not pressing the panic button, but I am giving it a rating of 3 out of 5. So if we're giving a 3 out of 5, I'm not yet red alert. I'm not in the next level of red alert, but
Nandun
nandun na ako. I am concerned. I am concerned. I do have some concerns about this team, and we'll talk about it later. No, but no, I am not pressing the panic button. It is June. The season I think starts in October/December, so there is around 3-4 months left before the UAP season 87 season 86 starts. So there's a lot of time, a lot of time to practice. They should practice a lot. A lot of time to figure out the lineup, and we'll talk about that later. I think that's one of the reasons why they suck right now, is that their lineup is just not consistent. And 3 out of 5 because I still believe in Coach Tab. The saying goes, in Tab we trust. I still think he has a plan. I still think he can get this team to work together to be more cohesive team, to play better, play harder. So not pressing the panic button too early, but concerned. 3 out of 5.
Oh, hey, 3 out of 5. Concerned si Gab. Nandun na siya, pero hindi pa niya pinipress. Maui, how, on a scale of 1 to 5, ano ang panic level mo?
Ako, honestly, nasa 1 pa ako. Sabihin mo
Wow.
lang homer hindi. But with, I'll give the reason why. The reason why is because we've never seen Ateneo play this early sa preseason. During previous seasons, very closed door, I think, yung practices ng Ateneo. We never knew how each team would fare. Even yung first iteration ng Tab Baldwin BOB players, we didn't know how it pan out when the season started. And I think this is the first time in a long time that Ateneo has joined Phil Oil. And they joined Phil Oil very late, which is why they had to play 5 games in probably 1.5 weeks or 2 weeks versus the other teams which had their games staggered. One of the main reasons why I'm not also pressing the panic button is because if you watch all the games, yes, I watch all the games of Ateneo, all the 5 games, including the one they won
Boomer.
kanina, 6 game. Um, you see how Ateneo tries to really look at the lineup right now. They have about probably 20 players that could make the lineup, but right now it's very open. Um, First few games of Ateneo, Coach Tab wasn't even present in Phil Oil, and I think when you see Padrigao, probably the best player in Ateneo next year, not playing starter minutes in any of the games, you see that Ateneo is really trying to find those players that will get into the lineup next year. When we mentioned this before, if you watched the podcast before, nung end ng season, Coach Tab said that players will have to fight for their slots, and that is very true for next season. Right now, we probably have less than 10 players assured to make the roster, and I think Ateneo is really shuffling. If you also watch yung Pinoy Liga games nila, which they've all won, by the way, which is why I'm also not
Against non-UAAP teams, Mao. Against
yes,
non-UAAP
against
teams. I think
non-UAP
that has
teams,
to be a...
yeah, that's a caveat. But if you watch all of the games, they really shuffle yung players. Some players probably won't even be in consideration for Team A for Pinoy Liga games. But yeah, right now I'm not really panicking. A lot of people have been messaging me like Gab, what's happening? Patay tayo next season. Ang lakas ng Lasal, ang lakas ng UP. But for me,
Some people want to fire Tab.
those people
the
are
preseason.
crazy. Those people are crazy. Those people who say that are crazy. Same people who say that Coach Topek should be fired after a few losses sa preseason warm-up games nila. But yeah,
So warm-up games.
if you ask me, I'd probably start panicking if it's probably July or even August right now, and Ateneo is playing like shit. So right now, I'm really not yet panicking.
Maui made a great point, no? With this team, it's like parang tryouts eh. Ano yun? Yung mga tryouts ng grade school, high school na kung ano mga scrimmages. This feels like a tryout. This preseason tournament feels like a tryout for these players.
Yeah, good point.
Which is weird
I mean,
in itself.
I just realized, no, tama si Maui eh. Kasi in the past, we only hear rumors about Ateneo's training eh. Pero hindi natin napapanood. I just realized, ngayon ko nga lang sila napapanood this early, no? So, I don't know, maybe hindi din sila magaling when they were training early in the past. We don't know, diba? But that's a good point. I guess for me, if I were to rate my panic level, I would be the same as Gab. I would also say 3. Concerned, I was thinking more of starting to get worried yung sa akin. And Maui made really good points. I guess for me lang, what I'm worried about is we've always had Coach Tab, and we've always had, let's say, a solid group of guys that are holdovers from the championship team or from the previous team. And we still have that. We still have Kai Balungay. We still have Fortsky. But I feel like, number one, there are some things that hindi pa rin na-address yung weaknesses natin in the past season. And I think we really miss Ange Kwame on the defensive end. I really like Obasa. I mean, he's a great replacement. I would take Obasa over the other FSAs other than Malik Diouf, obviously. Over a lot of the FSAs. But iba pa rin yung level ni Ange Kwame na
Of course.
kaya yan, tiwala Ange Kwame. So I think that's why I'm worried na this is the first time we're not gonna have Ange Kwame. And like a third Ravena, no? So yeah, I guess that's why I'm on a 3. Sige. But speaking of issues, Gab, ano bang nakita mong issues ng Ateneo ngayon? Tinetext ka ng mga tao, what's happening to Ateneo, Gab? Ano sagot mo?
Okay, so I think I have maybe 2 or 3 points. Some issues, I think, and why I'm concerned from what I've seen in their games. One, of course, we've mentioned it, Maui mentioned it, paiba-iba yung players. Different players play each and every game. We don't know who's playing. Again, I said it, it's like a tryout. You, the coach tab is experimenting. And
Actually, sa Pinoy
that's
Liga,
kind of weird.
mga high school players nilalaro din or mga 80 season 87 eligible pa di ba?
Kahit si God's love.
Yeah, si God's Love and Mamudes, example, is still in high school. So, still not gonna be eligible for season 87. So, yun ang weird para I get it na Coach Tab wants to see what players he has, which players he probably is gonna include in the lineup. But you can't help but compare to the teams we've been playing, like LaSalle. Outside of some of their end of the bench guys, they basically play their rotation guys. You can see this is the rotation that they're gonna run in season 87, and you can see that they know how to play with each other. They know where each other is supposed to be on the court. They know their tendencies. They're like a team already. LaSalle, as an example. UP also. So I'm citing the two nearest contenders to Ateneo. UP also. That's essentially their team already. They rest guys here and there, but they play their guys. And you can still say the same for majority of the other UAB teams, such as Adamson,
NU.
Aside from Jerome. Yeah. NU plays all their guys. FEU, you plays all of their core guys already.
Except LJ Gonzalez.
Except LJ. But yeah, that's kind of weird to me. So, right now they have a head start over Ateneo, who's still figuring things out. The other teams have already essentially figured out. Maybe they're already 60 or 70% of the way there in their preparation. Well, I think Ateneo is just 10 or 20% there. So that's one concern to me. It's hard to build chemistry when you're playing with different guys all the time, diba? It's hard to figure out each other's tendencies when you're playing with different people all the time. So I think that's a legit concern. But again, I think that will build up maybe 3 or 4 months before the season. I think you could see that Coach Tab will cut the lineup down, maybe play more of the core guys already. My second concern is that their offense looks like shit. Maybe that's a function of my previous point that they play different guys all the time. But yeah, their offense has been terrible. And it's connected also to my third point. There's a lack of shooting apparent in their lineups. One of the more consistent lineups I've seen is Coach Tab starting Jason Credo and Sean Ketevis together. And I honestly think that's a very hard lineup to play with, given that both of those guys don't really shoot it really well. Jason Credo is not really known as a shooter. He's more of a slasher slash playmaker that's been his game since high school. Never really a shooter. Sean Ketevis just can't shoot anything. I mean, his shot is just so ugly.
Sobrang awkward ng tira niya, no?
Diba?
Naiilang ako pag yung parang basta awkward yung shot niya.
Well, he makes some shots, but most of the time he doesn't. And Joseph Abasa does not shoot threes. So the only guy who shoots it consistently in that lineup has been Kai Balungay. Even Forsky doesn't take a lot of those threes. So that's my concern. And actually, if I'm other UAP schools, I'm looking at Sean Ketevis, and maybe we give him like the Draymond Green treatment. What LA did to Draymond in the Lakers versus Warriors series. Just don't guard him. He's not a good shooter. Sometimes I feel it weird that teams still contest Sean Ketevis because he's not that good of a shooter. So I don't know. A lot of lineups And even with Josh Lazaro comes in, he's not really a shooter too. So maraming lineups na nilalaro ng Ateneo na walang shooting. At makita mo, it's really hard talaga. It's really hard to execute offense. It's really hard to get in the paint when yung other teammates mo are not really shooters. So yun. And that contributes to my second point na the offense just ugly. They've turned the ball over so much. They can't score. I mean, their defense holds up. They're very good defense. I guess we'll get to that later. But their offense, they just can't score. And I think also a function is that their offense is completely different from last year. I don't know if you guys have noticed it. They're running a lot more floppy. I mean, yung floppy to get shooters open, which is weird because they don't have any shooters. But yun, they run less of the dribble handoff action that was being run last year. And yun ang nakita ko mga issues. You just can't play those two together, si Sean Keteves and si Jason Credo together. I think you're gonna create a lot of problems offensively. Yeah, napapakamot na ako ng temple kasi just thinking about it.
Sakit na ulo mo, Gab. Masakit na ulo mo.
Oh, just looking at it, ang bakit ng offense nila that game against Adamson no fourth quarter? Oh my God. Oh, the way they were playing, my goodness sake, they were turning the ball over like crazy. They couldn't generate enough offense. Anyway, Mau, go ahead. Or Sammy, anyone.
But before we go to you, Maui, to be fair, Gab, no? Sorry, actually hindi ko sure, pero hindi pa nilalaro si Kun, di ba?
Wala pa.
He's one of our
shoulder injury.
Hindi ko napanood yung last game eh. So he's one of our best 3-point shooters coming from last season. But obviously he cannot solve all of our problems, diba? Like we can't rely on Chris Kun to solve all of our problems. But hopefully he will contribute then with his shooting, no?
It's good that you brought up Chris Kun, ma. So just something I wanted to add. It's good that you brought up Chris Kun because another thing I think that Ateneo is lacking in these preseason games is a guy to take over the offense. Diba? And ever since Coach Stab started, Ateneo likes to run their half-court sets. And a lot of the times, nothing will happen and the shot clock will dwindle down to 5 to 4 seconds. That has happened a lot in the preseason and it has ended in shot clock violations. It's more than what my two hands can count. So, na shot clock violation ng Ateneo just because they don't have anyone to take over the offense. In last season, you could see someone like Dave Ildefonso, diba? He was mostly that guy. Late in the shot clock, you give it to Dave, he will try to generate offense. It wasn't successful a lot of the time, but we had that guy. Fordsky could do it. Maybe you could see it now. And I think that will fall a lot on the shoulders of Chris Kun. Maybe his absence has shown that they need someone like that to make, to get a shot up in these late shot clock situations. Because honestly, they don't have that guy yet in the preseason. They haven't figured out who's that guy we're gonna turn to when we need some offense. So it's another reason why their offense sucks in the preseason. Maui?
Yeah. I think yung main concerns ko talaga stems from the three starters that left Ateneo. I'll start with BJ Andrade because of the shooting. And then Gab mentioned yung playmaking, shot creation, si David Alfonso. And finally, yung biggest hurdle talaga ng Ateneo is I think yung Ange Kwame effect on both ends of the floor. Ateneo had the luxury of having the best foreign student athlete. I was very adamant during the previous season that Ange Kwame was miles away from the competition. Si Malik Diouf is very close to the Ange Kwame that was injured. But if Ange Kwame was 100% healthy, if he played like the Ange Kwame of the finals, he's still a lot of miles away. With Joseph Obasa, Ateneo will have to be able to establish a new foreign student athlete, which they had the luxury. They had the luxury of having Ange for the past 4 seasons. So very consistent yung center position, which is I think yung one of the most important positions sa UAAP. But yeah, I think the main concern right now is aside from missing Ange is really yung shot making and yung playmaking. which I think when Gab Gomez starts to get healthy and Chris Kuhn starts to get healthy, and hopefully Mason Amos will also get healthy quickly, they'll be able to solve some of the problems. One of my main concerns also, I think I mentioned this before and I've been mentioning it, is how will Ateneo play Chris Kuhn? So how will Ateneo play Kai Balungay and Mason Amos so far? I think I've watched around 7 or 8 Ateneo games this preseason from Pinoy Liga and the Phil Oil. So far, I've seen them in the court probably less than 5 minutes together. So I
Parang
think
one
that's
game lang ata yun eh.
Yeah,
Diba?
one game. I think one game lang na a few minutes, like 1 or 2 minutes, just 1 or 2 minutes. And I think that will be one of the main hurdles for next season. Having a player of Kai Balungay's caliber and Mason Amos caliber, and having how do you play them in 40 minutes? I mean, if you can't play them together, what will happen? Right now, Kai Balungay is playing out of his mind. I think he's the only Atenean, to be frank. He's the only Ateneo player in shape, playing consistently every game. This is very different from the Kai Balungay we saw from the previous season. So I guess that's one key takeaway from this offseason. Kai Balungay has been very consistent every game. The problem with Ateneo right now is, I think si Gab touched this kanina, is the rotation is really a mess. The offense is a mess. Right now, you don't know who's going to be the second or third leading scorer of Ateneo. It's Kai Balungay, then who else? Sometimes it's Sabasa, sometimes it's Kitevi, sometimes it's Lazaro, and it's really crazy if you watch the games. You don't know how Ateneo will generate offense. And I guess right now, you really just have to trust the process of Tab Baldwin. Maybe this is really part of the process that we didn't see in previous off seasons. We didn't see him really break down the team early on. We saw the team ready to compete for international competition. I think during the previous off season, we only saw Ateneo when they competed in the World Basketball University Series and during their games against Tier 2 European teams. So it's very interesting to see how Ateneo will gel this coming off season. And hopefully we'll see them play better during the succeeding games.
Well said, Maui. I think we've covered that side, the issues we're facing with Ateneo. I want to jump to something that you mentioned, Maui. Sabi mo, Kai has been medyo the surprise so far, no? He's the only guy in shape. He's the only guy actually
He's a workhorse.
playing consistently right now. So far in this performance of Ateneo, what has surprised you the most, other than Kai Balungay maybe? What has surprised you the most? You could go on a player, you could go on a team level, could be good, could be bad. Anong biggest surprise para sa iyo? Maui.
Yeah. Honestly, the biggest surprise talaga is how poorly they're playing right now. I mean, we're I have to be frank. Yeah, they're playing poorly. They're playing like shit. We're not accustomed to seeing Ateneo playing like this. Probably if you're a diehard Ateneo fan and you watch the games in Moro Lorenzo, yung practice games, you probably see Ateneo play like this. But on a mainstream point of view, like right now, people are panicking because we've never seen Ateneo during the Tab Baldwin era play like this. We've never seen Ateneo play like this, and I guess since probably Bo Perasol handled the team. Ateneo.
Wow, shots fired.
Wow.
Shots fired.
No. Ateneo has been a Final Four contender. No, just because Ateneo missed out on the Final Four during Bo Perasol's stint. But if you watch our other episodes sa podcast, I was very adamant that I am a big fan of Coach Bo. And it just so happens that Ateneo had a very bad lineup when he was handling bad combination of players when he was handling the team. But to bring it back to the point, we're not accustomed to Ateneo playing like this. If you watch previous UAAP seasons, I don't know, Ateneo has probably lost 10 games during the whole Tab Baldwin stint. And we've seen Ateneo in the Phil Oil lose 5 straight games, all UAAP teams. It's not something that we usually see. So I understand why people are panicking. I understand why people are starting to push the panic button. I understand why people are asking us what's happening, asking everyone what's happening. But I don't understand people who say that Tab Baldwin should be fired. Same way as I don't understand people saying that Topex Robinson should be fired just because they lost a few pickup games during their practices.
Siguro, no, just to give the Ateneo fans a bit of assurance. Remember, at Tab Baldwin kicked out the starting five, starting six, the top 5, 7 players of the team before. And they made it to the finals. Ganun, ganun ka tindi yung development nung team ni Tab at that time na he kicked out 5 to 7 of the top players of Ateneo and they still made it to the finals. So, may pag-asa pa to, may laban pa to. Mahaba-haba pang ang bago mag-start yung UAAP.
Hanggang di pa nagkukulong Ateneo ng 1-2 buwan. Pag nagkulong na Ateneo, after nun, pag sabog pa rin, time to panic.
Panic na.
But right now, I don't think that we should be panicking. They're really looking at the players. In my opinion, they're really looking at the players. They're looking which players will get it into next season. And it's very evident. I mean, why would you not play Fortsky Padrigao, a mythical team member from last year, your starting point guard, 25 to 30 minutes during failure if you're losing all the games already, di ba? I mean, that's just my point.
Yeah, and siguro yung just I don't think we'll see this tryout phase to end, no, because there are still players incoming. We still have not seen Celis and Asoro from Ateneo de Cebu. We have still not seen Kyle Gamber, who just graduated from high school. He's probably on the way. This guy, Sean Jackson, has not appeared yet.
Sean Jackson is out.
So, there.
Wala
He's
na,
out. So there are still players.
From Xavier.
Andre Tan. Yeah. And no, there is still a lot of players that are pending. So we're still not gonna see the end of this. They're probably still gonna play like shit. Although they did play better earlier, but we're probably gonna see more bad games from Ateneo. Just to answer the question, surprise from the past preseason games. I'm actually one of the bright spots is their defense. Their defense is still pretty solid. For a team that changes players game by game, the fact that they know their defensive schemes and they can still play solid defense is pretty surprising to me. It just goes to show how disciplined they are to learn the defensive schemes. There's one thing that Ateneo has counted on to win all these championships in the Tab Baldwin era. Their defense has always been solid, and just gotta say that. Also, I'm surprised with LeBron Nieto. The past few games he's been good.
Actually,
I
agree.
He might make it, and I actually think that he should. If we're starting Jason Credo, I actually think we should start LeBron Nieto beside Jason Credo. Just get more shooting there. He can shoot. He's a threat. I'm sorry, but Sean Keteves, I think is a situational player. You can put him in if you need someone to lock down on the opposing team, but you can't put him there alongside non-shooters because he's just a horrible shooter. He's an excellent defensive player, but he's just a horrible shooter. So, for me, I'm pretty surprised with LeBron Nieto. He's also a pretty good defender. He's not a zero on defense. So, LeBron Nieto should have been a pretty good surprise to me on this team.
Yeah, so I agree, Gab. Actually, I was gonna go with LeBron, but I was gonna start out with the bad. Kasi LeBron was horrible nung first few games. I think he looked really lost. I think we were talking dun sa chat. He looked so lost. Evan Nele just ate him up. Cooked him. But he's been really good. Lalo na yung 3-point shooting niya. And I think that's what's going to help him make this team, no? it's what's going to help him make this cut, no? His 3-point shooting. Because as you mentioned, not a lot of people are good with 3-point shooting now. So I think he's starting to prove himself. So that's a surprise to me, given where he was at the beginning, which was he looked like a lost freshman.
Parang si Belangel
So-
lang. Si Belangel looked pretty lost when he started out. So let's see where LeBron has the name, both first and last name, to prove us wrong. Hopefully, he lives up to the hype. I mean, if you watch Ateneo basketball, you've been hyped about LeBron Nieto all these years. I mean, how could you not be with both with the mark that both Mike and Matt set sa Ateneo?
And
yeah, true.
to be-
There's a lot
ano,
of pressure
to-
on LeBron, to be fair to him, no?
Yeah. And yung kay LeBron, no, from a guy who, was coming off the bench and at the end of the bench during those first few preseason games, he's been a more constant now in all of these preseason games. He's actually, I think he's pushed Paul Garcia out of any rotation, even in the preseason. So, it's also helped by the injury to Jared Brown, but I think LeBron has proven himself. I think he has a shot to make this team in season 86. I've been pretty impressed.
Okay, sige. So, we've talked about the issues earlier. Now I'm gonna ask the two of you. Can we fix those issues? What needs to change, or how would you solve it? How would you fix it? Let's start with you, Gap.
Again, I've mentioned this. I think we need more shooting on the floor. I think it's pretty apparent that we have a lack of shooting on the floor. If you watch our game versus LaSalle, we hit 2 threes in the first half. Then total for the game, we hit 5. And I think 3 of those were from Kai Balungay. So, again, my point is, when we play our main lineup, it's mostly Kai Balungay who can shoot threes. Well, Siforsky, but he doesn't play that much in the preseason. But yeah, that's a problem, no. That's really a problem. I think as much as Stab loves Sean Queteves and as much as Sean Queteves is the captain of this team, I don't think he can play that many minutes alongside the other guys. No, he's just. Ayun nga, I've said it earlier. If I were Coach Gold or Coach Topex, I would make a ballsy move and just not guard Sean Queteves on the perimeter. That's one. That's the only thing I think is fixable. Because I think their offense is a lot of practice time ang kailangan eh. Diba? I think that's pretty much just practice time and more reps and with a consistent lineup. But yeah, I think shooting is something that Coach Tab, if Coach Tab is a much smarter guy than I am. But if I was Coach Tab, maybe I'd look to add more shooting in the lineups, yung that he puts on the floor. Pretty apparent. Doesn't have to be a basketball genius to see that Ateneo struggles with shooting the basketball. But then again, just to calm all the Ateneans out there, during our 16-0 season when we swept the league, we were the worst 3-point shooting team in the UAAP. So maybe it's not needed, but yeah, we were. In case you guys forgot, we were the worst 3-point shooting team in the UAAP when we went 16-0. Maui, any fixes that you think, any adjustments you think you need to be made?
Yeah, I think it's really about the reps. Ateneo is all about the reps this off-season. And I wasn't able to say this kanina. I think one of the main reasons why Ateneo joined Phil Oil, this is just a hunch. I don't have insider. I don't know if this is really the case.
Yun.
I'm not saying I heard this from someone or something. This is just
What's the scoop, Mau?
A personal opinion. I think Ateneo is playing all these leagues. Ateneo used to not play all these leagues. They for a lot of seasons, Ateneo didn't join the Phil Oil Definitely not a league like Pinoy Liga. They wouldn't join Pinoy Liga. Probably for Team Glory B. But I think one of the main reasons why Ateneo is prioritizing joining local leagues this offseason, this early, is because Ateneo has a lot of players that are Phil-Ams. Unlike previous seasons when all of their players came from the high school program, when all of their players came from Xavier, when all of their players came from local schools, local high schools, most of the recruits of Ateneo this year, also those coming, sila Gambler, Sean Jackson is out. But some of the
Gamber
players,
pare, Gamber. Hindi
Gamber,
siya yung
sorry,
hindi siya yung pumupusta.
Si Gamber, Kyle Gamber, and si Tuano and sila Gomez from holdovers from the previous seasons. Most of the players of Ateneo right now are not local players. They're Phil-Ams. They're not used to how the physicality of the play here. They're not used to playing the type of basketball that you play here. I mean, foreigners, all of them say that the basketball here is different. And I think Ateneo has a different mindset this offseason. That is really to familiarize the players with the play style here. And hopefully, all of this heartache, all of these headaches will be solved with more training. I mean, Gab mentioned we still are 3 to 4 months away from the season. So let's see. I mean, we've trusted Tab all these years. I mean, not many believe that Ateneo could have won season 85. So we just have to trust Tab again. This is the process. Trust Tab, and then we'll see. We'll see come UAAP what will happen. Hopefully, I'm right, and Ateneo will still outperform expectations.
You know, hindi ko na alam ano sasabihin ko dun sa point na yun ni Maui. That's a really great insight.
Sobrang inspiring si Maui, grabe.
Oh, so to end, no? Bold prediction for Ateneo. It's June 7. What's your bold prediction for Ateneo? Let's start with you, Gab.
Bold prediction, I think number 1 pa rin tayo sa standings. I think so. I still think yung number 1 tayo sa standings, battling with the likes with other contenders. I think sure na it's NU, UP, and Lasal. Those are the contenders for this season. We're gonna battle, but I think we're still gonna top the standings. I won't say championship yet. I won't go that far.
Yeah.
Maybe Maui will go that far.
Next time na. No.
Pero ako, I think top of the standings.
Yeah. I think
Maui.
Ateneo, if you ask me, really, to be honest, not at the time bias, I think Ateneo will still be top 2. I won't say number 1 because I think Ateneo might struggle during the first round. But I think Ateneo will get a twice to beat advantage and then possibly go to the finals. Then we'll see.
Oy, nakakatawa kayo kasi pababa yung bold prediction natin. Because I was gonna say, Ateneo's a sure in for the top 3 or Final 4.
Final 4.
Because nag-bold prediction ayo, I'm gonna say Ateneo's gonna be one of the top 3-point shooting teams. Iwala. 3 player lang yan. Si Kai, si Amos,
bold.
si Kun. Kai, Amos, Kun. Let's go. That's my prediction. That's it. That's it for our podcast. To all the Ateneo fans out there reaching out, we hear you. We understand your pain. We understand that you're worried. Pero relax lang muna tayo.
In Tab, we trust.
Relax lang.
Trust
Take
the
it
process.
easy. Okay? That's it. That's it for today's podcast. Don't forget, like, comment, subscribe. Let us know what you think about Ateneo. Even non-Ateneo fans, go ahead. Let us know. What's your prediction for Ateneo or initial thoughts on Ateneo? We'll see you again next time. We'll talk about another big UAAP team. So stay tuned for that. Bye-bye.
Yeah.